Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back for another episode of We Can Be Heroes. We are here, of course, myself, John Torado, one of your great hosts who I hope you guys love every week and you come and check us out. But of course, the better host here, my little brother, Matthew Torado. How you doing, little bro?
Appreciate that. Appreciate the recognition here. I'm the one that kept this podcast coming alive. No, but in
Yeah,
all seriousness, good to be back as always. Recording every Friday, usually. But how are you doing, bro? How
I'm
you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited about this most recent episode of Falcon and Winter. Last week we were on a high, right? Like we were so excited about the episode, best episode to date. I think this at least evened out with that. This most recent episode had a lot of content in it. Had a surprise appearance that I did want to discuss in a little bit. That I don't know if you're too familiar with, but hopefully we'll get people familiar with her. And then we're gonna get this thing going, baby. So first things first. Initial impressions of the episode. What did you like the beginning when they start off with the fight against Walker? John Walker, for those who don't know, is soon to be U.S. agent. Uh, he just finished killing one of Carly Morgenthau's, right?
Yep.
Carly Morgenthau's right hand men, for lack of a better term, and he's losing it. We see in that part that he's just in his head. You talked about last episode. His mental health issues are coming to the front, and I think his mental health issues are just being uh, kind of exemplified because of, or amplified, if you want to call it, because of the serum. So I don't know. What were your thoughts on that initial scene? Was it dope to see Falcon and Bucky go at it, or
Oh, sure. I mean, I think the opening scene was arguably the most satisfying part of the entire episode. I think many fans were at maybe eager or just at the very least anticipating sort of the culmination of the journey that each of these characters have gone on. So to see them finally sort of relinquish that shield from John Walker, allowing Sam to regain it and hopefully become the true Captain America was exciting and needless to say. And as someone who's quite fond of the John Walker character and sort of the direction they've taken him in a very complex way, um, is definitely very interesting and often really scary to look at his mental state. I mean, he's worsening day after day, week after week, and obviously with the recent death of his brother Lamar, you could definitely see all of his emotions coming to the forefront. Where, as we see during this physical exchange, he was on the verge of killing Sam. I mean, had him right in his
same position
yeah,
as her Carly's right hand?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
I
That's all I can say.
I think the fight was great. Falcon for, and I don't know if I just never really paid attention specifically to him. I guess in the past, in the movies or any of the content, he can hold his own. I mean, he's fighting a super soldier, right? So it's not like it should be easy. Now, mind you, he lost, technically. Got his wings ripped off. Uh, Bucky, of course, won that fight, which we're gonna have a little conversation about Bucky and somebody else later. But uh, Bucky, did you not see a little bit of foreshadowing every now and then though? So like every time Bucky was able to grab the shield, they're like putting in his arm perfectly, like Cap. They're teasing us. They're like really with either foreshadow or just straight up what's in our face. They're they're giving us both of what we know could happen because both have been Captain America at points throughout the canon of Marvel, right? So as of now, I'm good with Sam taking that title. I love how they kept digging in to the consistent struggles of minorities and you know he ends up meeting up with Isaiah Bradley later on and Bradley explains to him, I don't think Captain America could ever be a black man because I just don't think people could accept that. That's kind of what Bradley dealt with for God knows how many years, 30 plus years, if not more. Or no, well, 60 plus years, right? I think he was back in one Vietnam War. Um, man, I that where did it where did they go? Like what I guess what is your opinion on where Falcon what Falcon will be?
Um, I mean, I said from the very beginning, outside the podcast, I never mentioned until now, but truth be told, Sam is the perfect candidate to become Captain America. Um, my reluctance, if they were to go down the route of Bucky becoming Captain America, is that I think he himself would realize that he does not want to be attached to a symbol that people admire. I mean, mind you, he has a very, you know, like torturous and uh, dare I say, murderous past. Now, would the people of America want, an ex-assassin to become the defining symbol of their country? Probably not. But at least in the context of Sam Wilson, he is inherently good. You definitely have a chance to really see his struggles. I think he amplifies and sort of embodies really what I think like most people deal with on a regular basis. I mean, and I think really as a whole, I mean, his character definitely had a major progression. I mean, I never thought much of him really until this show. I mean, you mean you discussed this from the beginning. Falcon and the Winter Soldier were not exactly characters. We found ourselves too emotionally invested in. But we felt definitely had potential to grow in future movies or in projects like this show, amongst many others that Disney plans on releasing. But I think ultimately, in regards to sort of where we see Sam now in comparison to where we saw him back in the Winter Soldier, it's just exciting to see him really take on the mantle and not necessarily be a copy of Steve, but definitely be his own man, be his own hero, which is definitely something that Bucky wants to hone in and say, the world needs a symbol, and that symbol is going to be you naturally. Now, will you step up? That is entirely up to you. He's proven his worthiness. Sam has proven his worthiness. But now it's a matter of not proving to the world, but proving to himself that he has the ability, to become this Captain America.
Yeah, I mean,
So
and that's where we bounced around the episode all throughout. But just to go a little forward to a certain part, I loved um, Bucky and Sam's camaraderie start to build. We finally got to hear that Bucky did have a conversation with Steve prior to him going back in time. Steve going back in time. Remember he said, when Steve and I had this conversation, we both knew you were the guy for the job. Essentially, is what he said, right? They started to build some camaraderie. See Bucky a little bit of flirting with Sam's sister. I love that little
mhm.
dynamic that they had,
Yeah, of
and
course,
Sam's kind of like bleak, the office kind of reactions. He's just like every time Bucky would kind of flirt with her. But
of course.
uh, I I love the whole concept. We really have two people that are different in so many ways. We have Bucky, who's similar as Steve in that he missed a lot of the struggles that minorities dealt with for so many years, being frozen or just unfrozen when he's assassinating, or completely frozen when Steve was just frozen up, obviously, and came after the 100 years. Um, you know, Bucky is someone struggling with his own mental health, right? He's trying to make amends, or in his case, his amends were not I guess Sam kind of explained to him that wasn't the way to go about it. It's you're trying to make yourself feel better, make the person you want to that you're trying to make amends with, make them feel better, you know, and that's how you'll feel better in the end. You feel that person feels better. The deed was done for them. They're moving on to a better place, not death, but better place, and then you can be happy, right? Because it's almost in a way, and I see what Sam was saying is that Bucky was kind of selfish in a way, right? He was only doing this to make his guilt go away rather than make those people feel better who needed to feel better. Um, Bucky's not ready for the shield. That's all. After seeing this episode again, he. I don't think he ever will be ready. Well, so that's not right. I think he will be ready at some point after he gets himself together. Maybe he could have the shield, right? I think Bucky just doesn't want it. Bucky knows there's a different path for him, and that's okay. He's perfectly okay with that. And like you said, Sam exemplifies a lot of what Steve had as a character of a man, a grinder, a guy that comes from a rough background. Steve didn't have an easy background before he became Cap. He was bullied all the time and dealt with a lot of struggles. Wanted to be in the army, they never let him. Um, so Sam exemplifies, he shows a lot of what Cap should be, right? Like that's the purpose of Cap. You are the symbol, and then you go and hear Bucky say, he basically apologized to Sam. He said, "I'm sorry, Steve and I never knew how hard it would be for a black man to be Captain America." Right? He and I love that scene because I've always spoken to people in OTS and Derek specifically. You know, uh, racism, uh, uh, the system itself, the prejudice out there. It's not just being a racist. It's being ignorant to the issues that Sam had been talking about, that Isaiah Bradley had been talking about throughout this entire episode. Bucky and Steve are, by all intent and purposes, they're perfect, right? They're super soldiers. They have their issues as far as being assassins. That's it's separate, but they they're genuinely good people, but they were still ignorant to the issues that Isaiah Bradley dealt with, and all African Americans deal with, right? They're ignorant in the sense that they genuinely didn't know. And there are people out there who just genuinely don't know those struggles exist, and they think it's as simple as here's your shield, it's yours, your cap now. It's not. I didn't even know. I thought, I'm thinking back to the comics I've read or looked at, and it was simple. Sam's cap now. You know, I love how the show really dug into the issues we see today. You know what I mean? And the battle and the struggle internally that Sam has with saying, "I finally want this shield." Because I don't even think he's officially said, even by the end of the episode, I think he's going to make a move to try to stop Carly, but I don't think he's officially called himself Cap yet. That whole episode was about building to getting to that point. Finally saying, maybe Isaiah, yes, he's right in a sense, but I'm ready to change that narrative, right? But he wasn't there yet. And that's why at the end we see him start to open Wakanda's gift, which we'll talk about in a second. Um, and is it a cap thing? Is it new wings? Is it the full bodysuit of Falcon that we've seen in the comics? I mean, it could be anything, right? Um, so and not to keep ranting on that, but I loved how it not just this episode, since episode one, they really start to bring in real issues in the world, and and now they're leaning towards what can they do to fix it in their world, right? How can Sam could be a literal shining example for all African Americans in the MCU, in this fake world, and in the real world. My captain's black, like that. That's like, my president is black, right? That's huge. That is so influential for younger kids, and a 4-year-old, 5-year-old that's just starting to watch Marvel. They're like, "Ooh, he looks like me. Like he's the leader of the Avengers now," or whatever he ends up being. Like that's awesome. And it wasn't as simple as just here it is. They showed everyone, the ignorant, the racist, the people who are not ignorant, and people are totally for it. They showed everybody that path, those steps, and how hard it is to be a symbol for America for someone who looks like Sam. I love that. I love that in this episode. I love that Bucky understood it or started to understand it. And I love that Steve that's one of his flaws. One of his flaws is think in the past. I think he started to really turn closer to post Civil War. It's not just ABC. It's A B Z down there, E F G's down there. It's all over the place, and that was his biggest flaw, his ignorance, and it's not maybe not his fault. The guy was fucking frozen for 100 years, so how would he even really know, right? For all intents and purposes, he sees no difference. But there was, and Sam was an example of that, and I love how they slowly progressed to that episode to show that. That was perfect, 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 perfect. Um, sorry, not to go on a big rant about that, but
No,
uh,
no, no.
anyway, so we can keep going here real quick. We see U.S. agent has have his little I guess hearing for the killing of Carly's right hand. I keep forgetting his name. I'm just gonna call him Carly's right hand, so I can't remember, or until I do remember. Um, you see that he's discharged with another other than honorable designation, losing his benefits, losing his records, losing everything. He has no title, he has no rank, he has literally nothing for the military after doing so much. And think about his mental health. I mean, how much more is that going to break him down? I don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I would also think that, uh, look, sort of reflecting on John's decision to kill um, Carly's right hand. I will say, instinctively speaking, if I were to see my own brother or my own family member die right before my eyes, I would do the exact same in his position. Now, I think if the circumstances were different, to where, let's say, that the Flagsmaster was not running, well, not fleeing from him, but was attempting to attack and then he proceeded to kill, different story, out purely out of self-defense, and he's seemingly protecting others. But he explicitly sort of surrendered, saying, "Please, please, do not." Um, and the government, even though they can sort of spin the story and say, "Oh, this was a terrorist," he's, as you can see, he was linked with the GRC building bombing. I can't remember the country, like in Prague, if I'm not mistaken, or unless that's where they actually shot the show. But
There might,
uh,
yeah, I think so.
yeah, they
Either
probably
way,
wouldn't have shot the show. But
right,
either way, the point I'm trying to make is, they are concerned because, as we mentioned previously, and sort of, the, really add the emphasis on the importance of, Captain America as a whole. Um, they don't want to be seen as this ruthless killer, someone who's willing to execute someone in broad daylight, because that paints a very negative light on the country as a whole.
right,
So by deranking um, John Walker, it's more or less a sign of collateral damage. I mean, they are willing to sort of relieve Walker of his duties and to really forget all of his various accomplishments that he fought for uh, back in Afghanistan with Amar. And I definitely sympathize with him in the sense of, I think under, if he wasn't being dealt with such immense pressure of being Captain America, I have a strong feeling he would have thought out the situation much differently, even with Lamar's passing. But you can definitely tell. I mean, him constantly being berated, not necessarily berated, but we'll just say sort of treated negatively by Bucky and Sam originally for reasons that we can understand, to now where he's been spending weeks upon weeks tracking down the Flag Smashers, losing the fight to the Dora Milaje, where he feels so insecure and so sensitive, um, that he can't admit defeat. And there's just arrogance to him. And that arrogance is ultimately ruins his mental health because he puts himself here.
right,
He can't see himself here, even if
right,
it's here.
right.
He hates seeing himself like that
Agreed.
because he believes Captain America needs to be a perfect symbol. But that's not what Captain America needs to be.
Right,
Steve was a flawed man. Sam can be considered a flawed man. No one is meant to be perfect, but by taking those imperfections and really sort of not letting them define you, but to say to the world, listen, uh, despite my past, despite everything I have struggled with over the years, I did not let that define me. I instead use that to sort of, guide my future and to become the best person I can, for myself and sort of for others that I want to sacrifice, myself for. Walker doesn't see it that way. I mean, I think, well, no, let me go back. So Walker obviously wants to help people. He obviously went to the army for a reason, but there's a certain level of arrogance to him. I mean, if, for instance, when he introduces himself, it's not "Hi, I'm John Walker." It's John Walker, Captain America, because he wants that title. The title, he needs that title
right,
because he views it as his purpose.
right,
Is what makes him get up every single day now, because he says, "Wow, I mean, I'm the symbol of a country. I mean, not many people can say that.
Right.
So all of that sort of it really spirals him down into madness, and he's clearly losing it mentally.
But
You know,
and I I may be of the few who believe this, but so I'm gonna make this very clear. What he did was absolutely wrong. Should not have killed Carly's right hand. Wrong, but I understand why he did. Right? He killed my brother. He killed my brother. I'm, you know, more more than likely going to kill you. Because
Mhm.
I mean, that's usually how the dynamic works there. Um, Now, I think he did that due to the push of his mental health. Absolutely. Do I think you know he should have still not done that? Of course. That scene with Walker's, I'm sorry, with Battle Battlestar's family. Did you not find a little sympathy for Walker? I mean, there it almost seems like the show is not really trying to paint Walker as a straight up villain at all, right? Because
That's what
yes,
the
he killed
screenwriters.
someone, he's wrong. Get it. In that case, technically a villain. I get it. He did that for a reason. Okay, so let's eliminate that out of the picture for a second. What else did they shown us with Walker? Maybe a little arrogance, maybe a little uh overconfidence.
Absolutely.
Maybe but that you have you're fucking Captain America. You're gonna have a little confidence in you. Come on, they gave you the shield, they gave you the outfit. Other than that, I feel bad for his mental health struggles. I have sympathy. I have sympathy for, or I guess understanding for all he has sacrificed. Right, he's seems like one of the more decorated military personnel in the country. Done a lot. I feel bad he lost Walker, and it seems like every other scene they give us, besides the couple I mentioned, is meant for us to like him. I mean, how can you hate someone that goes and speaks to his partner's family and then even the mother says, "I knew you did that because you wanted justice, and thank you for getting me and my family justice." Not many families think that way, dude, but she did, and I think the sister was a little off. You could tell, Battlestar's sister. She had a little like, kind of was a little turned off by Walker. Um, but the husband or the father and mother, they seem to be okay with what Walker did. They're brothers, man. It's not. For all we can tell, it's like me and you, right? That's the relationship they had or had. Um, I don't want to really call him a villain yet, man. Maybe he does. Maybe he keeps. It's gonna keep going south, right? We know the mental health's gonna get worse. Most of us know what his path of U.S. agent is. He is a psychopathic anti Captain America in every sense of the word. I get that. But as of right now, I'm not totally calling him a villain yet. I just can't. I call him a
Oh,
hero that made a significant mistake. Let's see what he does this next episode, right?
I absolutely agree with that. And even though in the beginning I said that Walker had Sam in his literally in the palm of his hands, by his throat. I mean, maybe there could have been a point where he resisted those urges and said, "Wait a minute, what am I doing?"
Right.
We have no idea because Bucky managed to intervene in time before the
Mm-hmm.
situation turned a bit too gnarly.
Exactly.
Um, but Walker's a character, and I think something that I find quite bothersome as well is as I look through social media pages, specifically Marvel ones that are obviously giving their fellow followers updates on Falcon and Winter Soldier. They constantly say, "Oh, this isn't my Captain America. He's a terrible character. How can you feel sympathy for him?" Yada. And I think they have such a fundamental misunderstanding of him. He's not meant to be Steve.
The,
Everyone
the,
will agree with you on that. He's not meant
yes.
to be Steve. You
Yep.
cannot look at him and say it's a replacement of Steve. No, it's not a replacement of Steve. It's just giving someone the mantle. Sam
Hello.
isn't a replacement of Steve.
Steve
You
was
know.
never even a government employee. last we remember, he had nothing to do with him. After Civil War, he said, "Fuck the government." That's what he said. I mean, so yeah, Walker's the stand up military personnel that's going to be nonstop, all USA all the time. Like, yeah, we get that. I get it, and it's that's not what Cap was, and that's okay. That was the
Exactly.
government's purpose. They didn't want Steve. In fact, they'll never want Steve, from all we know. I mean, they'll want although he had not really been part of the government. Everybody loved him still. I mean, he's Cap, right? He's Cap. He saved the freaking world. For all they know, him and Iron Man sacrificed their lives, right? Most of the government and at least the world know that Cap did something to help fix something, right? Maybe they don't know the exact things he did with it in terms of putting the stones back. But I just Walker was you said it perfectly. Walker was never meant to be Steve Rogers. Walker was meant to be a government version of Captain America
Hmm.
that followed orders to a T, and Walker broke out of that due to his mental health, made some bad decisions, and at this point, I'm still not ready to call him a straight up villain.
I totally agree, and I hope over time fans will, at least the minority of fans, not to generalize, but I think for those sort of complaining about the character of John Walker, I definitely hope they reflect on him and really look at him as a very three dimensional character, and that's one positive of the show that I can say.
Right.
Um, Many of the primary characters are three dimensional, Carly included, and I think maybe right after this because we kind of want to jump gears into the flag smash because they had a bit of relevance in this episode, but
Right.
all of them have been three dimensional. The writing I think has been on par every episode mostly. I have my complaints with this particular episode. We'll discuss that at the end. Um, but really, I mean, Walker is a phenomenally written character, and especially for Wyatt Russell, who's an extremely underrated actor to tackle this role, the writing definitely helps. Definitely helps them to get into the mindset because what I do appreciate is that they could have easily gone down the generic direction where from the very beginning Walker is a straight up villain. He's being sort of he's basically the government puppet. He's constantly in the way of Falcon and Bucky for the entire series, but they don't. Um, and while the Flag
I mean,
Smashers are uninteresting, the show needs some kind of main antagonist
right.
because at the end of the
But
day,
I mean,
heroes need something to fight against.
so with Walker, I, take away the killing, him killing the right hand. Name one thing he did absolutely wrong, like just straight up evil.
The the only Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
really, well,
arrogant, ignorant, overconfident, uh, thinking his all is end all be all, stepping over Sam and Bucky. That's not evil.
natural human
I
characteristics
think
if
people
anything.
just think Walker is like the stunt double that just got a chance to finally be Cap. Like Walker was meant to be something totally different. People need to understand that.
Yeah,
But
well, precisely. And in regards to saying something he did wrong, um, or evil. Well, we're heading on the evil route, I
it's not just
suppose.
wrong. Yeah,
But
evil. I mean, more so is like straight up where you
um,
can say 100% villain.
not necessarily. I mean, I would honestly, to be frank, with those who definitely don't understand the character, I wouldn't be surprised if an argument is posed where they suggest Walker is evil because he ended up interfering the whole conversation between Carly and Falcon. It's not evil though. I mean, he was growing impatient by the minute,
Right.
and maybe in the back of his mind, he was concerned about the situation.
Tony Stark would do the same thing. Let's be real here. Tony Stark would have done the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, I think if
Rest in
anything,
peace.
Walker, yeah, um, Walker is a tragic hero, and when we do
I love
inevitably
that.
see him as a villain, for me, it will be heartbreaking because he was a good man. overconfident in some ways, arrogant
Right.
in others,
Right.
but he was nothing more than a regular person. He made a few mistakes, but taking the super soldier serum, interfering with sort of the conversation between Carly and Falcon, as well as killing the Flag Smasher. Those mistakes in chronological order that led to the man that we see now, a man in a very broken state. And Marvel, I can't credit screenwriters because I unfortunately don't know their name, but I applaud you because you definitely took the character in a direction that I never thought would have been as compelling as I thought.
Right.
So kudos to them, of
Yeah.
course.
I think I can't remember his real name, but Walker, the guy who played Walker,
Why
uh,
Russell?
Wyatt Russell, he did great. They wrote him great. He really took that role on, and people again, his role was not Captain America, Steve. His role was government Captain America. It was so different. um, so real quick, we got a little surprise cameo, and I don't really know if you know who this woman is, but I did some digging, did some research.
As did I. And
Uh,
should I say we were referring
so
to?
Valentina Aregra de Fontaine has appeared and did appear at the courthouse after now I'm calling Wyatt Russell. Look at me. After Walker was other than honorable discharge, right? He's speaking to his wife. Was that his wife? Right, that was his wife.
Yep,
Yeah,
that is correct.
and steps in between them and says,
Excuse me.
we have basically telling him we have some use for him, right? For those who don't know, and I had heard of the name, but I wanted to do some research just to be sure. Valentina has a couple aliases within Marvel canon. Number one being Madame Hydra, which is like the woman leader of Hydra in the comics, right? Uh, Hydra may be around still. Surprise, surprise. But there, that's one potential. I feel like her purpose is obviously going to Wyatt, saying that we'll stay in touch. I mean, need you for missions. Got to be something there. Number two could be Thunderbolts. Maybe she's associated with Thunderbolts somehow. Um, I'm not really thinking it's that one only. I mean, Thunderbolts are going to be teased in Black Widow, from what I understand. But you also have to think Allegra, or I'm sorry, Valentina was uh, probably involved with the Black Widow program where they created the spies, right?
I'm sorry, I had to laugh because I was really just I was reading the article before we started the podcast, and
Right.
she was meant to make her debut in Black Widow.
Yeah, she was. Right.
Um, with the whole COVID-19 situation, they had to flip projects around. So what
Right.
Falcon came out for, Black Widow was meant to come out first,
Mm-hmm.
just to connect these projects together. More than likely involved with the Black Widow program, and therefore has a possibility of being more related to Thunderbolts. I don't think she's Madam Hydra. I think she's a power broker. I wouldn't be surprised if
Mm,
she happens to be the power broker because that's another one of her aliases in the Marvel
mm.
canon. That would
She's
make
also
sense.
in another iteration of the comics. She's part of the Leviathan. But I think that's
Sounds
too
familiar.
big of a rabbit hole to go down because you have so many other villains coming in different groups. We got the
Yeah.
Super Scrolls coming. I mean, there's too much to bring Leviathan into. I just, I'm thinking, like you said, with Black Widow, it's more so of a Thunderbolts related thing, possibly. Hope we'll see where that goes. I think we'll learn more in Black Widow for sure. Um, I mean, I would assume the same actress that played her would be playing her again in Black Widow, correct? Because
Yep,
yeah,
absolutely. It'd be
for
the
sure.
same actress as well, the same character, presumably.
Okay, okay.
So
Because well, I'm thinking if they go on, maybe only show her in the past when Black Widow was created, that maybe it'd be a younger version, some other actress, but still Valentina. You know what I mean?
oh, sure. I mean,
Yeah,
that already
yeah.
do some de aging effects. I think they've even if you watch the recent trailer, I think Rachel Reyes' character, I think she's the Academy Award winning actress. I haven't seen her
Hmm.
films, but I think there's a shot where they de-aged her.
Okay,
I could be wrong, but I
okay.
wouldn't be surprised if the same actress who's playing, let's just for the sake of conversation, call it the power broker. Maybe they de-age her, or they end up showing her in present day, as the
Fair
sort
enough.
of associate or the head of the Black Widow program. I think perhaps because General Ross is the leader of Thunderbolts, correct?
Yes. Yep.
So I have a feeling she might just play this almost like Nick Fury role, where she's going around um, and locating different villains, different characters in order to join a special team. Um, you know, and then obviously from there there'll be sort of the main group that goes against the new Avengers team, whether it be Young Avengers or just
Right.
basing. Who knows? I mean, Marvel. The cameo itself means a lot. I was, truth be told, when I did see her character appear, she was talking to Walker. I thought I actually like. I was really tired in the morning. I woke up, and I thought I missed like 10 minutes worth of like scenes because I thought they introduced her before, like Sharon or something, or like they introduced her before. I literally thought like she was in like the previous part of the episode, and I just missed it. I was like,
Hmm.
whatever, I'll just watch it. It's probably not that important. It's probably Thunderbolts, and then she put it in a post credit scene. And then I actually did the research, and I was like, oh, okay, she was supposed to appear in Black Widow. I'm like that, that makes sense. But it
Right.
was it
Right.
was under it was underwhelming. I mean, like I went in because I know like I think the director said like, oh, fans are going to cry this episode. They're going to be so excited about the cameos. The cameo that should be seen alongside Thor. I'm thinking to myself, sure, we'll see. And then it happens
Mm-hmm.
to be this character. I'm like, okay. I mean, I can't speak anything on her. She's meant to be significant, but I'm not going to say she's a bad or good character based
Right.
on literally what like a 3 minute 3 minute
Yeah.
scene she had.
Yeah. We're gonna get more
You
of
know what
her
I
for
mean?
sure, and see
Yeah,
like what the goal is with her. I think she's gonna have a major purpose, obviously, in the MCU going forward, is what it seems with the Thunderbolts possibly, or whatever the case is. We'll get a lot of more info with Black Widow, I think, which is cool.
yeah.
I love that scene. She obviously told him, join a team in a way without saying team. Gave a card with nothing on it for some reason. So we'll see where that goes. I think, obviously we can talk about the post credit scene now. We see Walker building his U.S. agent shield, which I'm super excited for. Uh, and he's getting ready for battle too, man. He's not done. He wants Carly. So, we'll
Hmm.
see how that goes. But to move on a little bit, uh, we need to get into the quick little Zemo scene because Bucky obviously
Oh yeah.
went to go arrest. Well, at first I really thought he was going to kill him, but went to Zemo at the Sokovian memorial, and Zemo knew he was coming. Right? He said he surprised it took you so long. Maybe he just wanted to see that statue one more time, be in his home country one more time, think of his family, think of everyone that passed. Right? Um, Man, Zemo's such a good character. I mean,
He is.
Zemo is a really good character, man. And the actor that plays him, he is great. They're writing him really well. He portrays him extremely well.
I know. I was so nervous
Um,
too about what they do.
we get the scene of Bucky with a gun in his face and thinking he's gonna pull the trigger, but then he's like, "No, you're gonna get arrested by Dorbalot," and they pop up again. And they mentioned that he's going to be put in a raft. So we know who runs the raft, Mr. Ross himself.
And
So
you just need to confirm them. Like we know it's coming at this point. Literally.
Zemo is 100% on the team for
Hmm.
Thunderbolts. It's not even a question. Obviously resourceful. Could be some semblance of a leader for them as well. Um, for the Thunderbolts. As far as having a plan, executing the plan, make sure the plan works, right? Um, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it. And then we go and see that Bucky asked for. Well, he was told to stay away from Wakanda. They're pissed at him for even letting Zemo stay out of jail. So apparently T'Challa is not too happy. Rest in peace. Um, but he asked for one more favor. And might as well talk about the little favor real quick. We see Bucky head over to New Orleans to help. Is it New Orleans, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, to help out. Sam with the parents' boat, and love the scene there with them kind of fixing it up and getting to know each other more, having those conversations that we talked about a little earlier. Uh, what do you think is in there, man?
Oh, definitely his Falcon's comic accurate Captain America suit, 100%. His wings as well as his torso gear, no,
Full suit.
110%. I want to
Uh,
say something though, and you had mentioned this before, but we didn't actually think about this through line. Um, Walker obviously destroyed Falcon's wings. Sam is seen giving his broken wings to Torres. Um, I think you know where I'm going with this.
Torres is the young Falcon, his partner. I can't
Okay,
remember the name. It's not Falcon, but something
yeah.
else.
And what does Sam say to him?
Keep him.
Keep the wings. I think Torres will.
He's young
I
Avenger
have a feeling
for sure.
he's swooping in, and he's definitely going to you know assist Falcon. I have a strong feeling. Now, well, let me backtrack. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. I don't want it to because we don't know enough about the character. He hasn't really appeared in many episodes. I
Right.
would rather have it be a post-credit scene of Sam getting in contact with Torres, and maybe they're just like flying around for a bit of practice,
Right.
implying that Falcon had or Falcon or New Captain America has a new sidekick. Um,
Right.
so you can do either way, but they did it for a reason. So I think his Torres will use those wings to make his own Falcon suit.
Remember, Falcon had a partner for all the missions he ever did for the Air Force. Back in the day. So he'd be used to, if Taurus takes the wings on and becomes Falcon, because we obviously at this point would see Sam becoming Captain America. Um, maybe they work together in these future series. I'm not sure if another season's coming or not, or if they're just appearing in a movie together, whatever it is. I think it'd be dope. I do want to get to know Torres a little more, right? For sure. But either way, I think it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see the comic accurate version of Sam. Oh my god, I'm so excited
Yeah,
for it, and I hope it's the
I
first 30 seconds we see him just pop up.
soothing. Falcon
Oh,
on the
it's
shoulder.
gonna totally be a vibranium jump on suit type thing, and I'm so excited.
Mm.
Oh, I'm so excited! I can't wait. But do have to get moving into the couple little topics here. So we have a couple more things with the episode. Is Sharon a bad guy, bad girl, whatever? Is she bad? What is going on? What job is she hiring people for?
I I I don't know.
And you don't care, but I just like
I
I just don't understand. Like, what is her purpose?
like
I
I
feel
don't
no,
know.
but it's nothing against
That's
the
the thing.
actress.
It's not. I just don't care
What
about
the
her.
hell is the? But that's the only
There's
thing
no
I
point.
don't care about in this series. They're doing
And
this.
Flag Smashers. I don't care about the Flag Smashers to be
Well, I
honest.
like Carly, but besides Carly,
Yeah.
um,
Um.
why?
She's like it was a very weird scene too. It was right. Wasn't it just a cutaway scene of her like talking to
Mm-hmm.
someone?
Saying
Did
that
she?
I have a
Did she
job for
like?
you.
Yeah. Did she like? Oh, I know what she did. So if Sharon, okay, so if theories are true of Sharon being the power broker, right? Because there were theories about her being power broker,
Right.
and if she has connections to the Thunderbolts agency or the Thunderbolts organization, what if she sent that woman, so the Madam Hydra woman, to go to John Walker? John Walker goes to her in return. And then he ends up meeting with uh, Ross or Sharon about, hey, listen, something called Thunderbolts or something along those lines. I wouldn't be surprised, right? Because I think the scene was before we saw that character pop up. It's not coincidental. I mean, I think it was carefully placed there. They wouldn't just have a random cutaway and not have it, bring much significance. I genuinely believe that Sharon has to be involved in some capacity.
Right.
But as a whole, I mean, they haven't done anything where they're like anything with the character. I expected her to be, more developed, really exploring the repercussions of Civil War, but they didn't really do much. And it's very disappointing. Very disappointing aspect of the
mean,
show,
maybe
I
we'll
have to
get
say.
more. Maybe she's going to be a significant part of another project, right? But right now,
Yeah,
they just did so poorly with her.
agreed.
I'm
Even
not.
Flash Masters too. Other than, I mean, Carly was slightly improved upon, but uh, even so, I mean, they're just generic bad guys. I'm sorry, I had to say it. They're just generic bad guys. They're so hypocritical. I don't understand half their points. I mean, you have Carly, for instance, who goes against everything she said with Sam about how, oh, when we don't view ourselves as criminals, yet you align the same organization with criminals, then proceed to mind control people in order to rig the GRC voting. Good people don't do that. You don't mind control people,
Right.
vulnerable
You don't
people,
work with
innocent people.
one of the more known villains in the MCU to get some weapons. It
Exactly.
doesn't
So,
make.
which is why I have an issue with
Yeah.
this her whole like her whole motivation went completely 180,
Right.
and I thought like it just made. That's why I really just do not like. And as a whole, I mean, the scenes that you mentioned, you went into great detail about the whole Isaiah Bradley scene. We obviously had our discussions about Walker. The episode as a whole was just fairly uneventful. Um, those scenes in particular really stood out to me because it contained powerful acting and really sent some powerful messages. But I think as a whole, the episode could have been done far better. And if anything, it was just like it kind of reminds me of episode 8 of WandaVision, where it was more of like kind of this we're setting up what's to come in the finale. It was really abundant in
Mm.
this episode. So I wish it was an hour long too. So it was really long. Like they had a lot of like a lot. They
I like, for the most
had
part, I
a lot
liked
of
a lot
time.
of it too. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I
Definitely
think
did.
as a whole, it was one of the weaker episodes. I will say. I think episode one was much better. Episode one being it's a premiere. They need to sort of develop these characters, and then once we see them, be a part of the action sequences, we care about their fate, and we definitely care about the situations they're in. It's necessary. Every pilot episode needs to introduce characters. If you don't, then I mean, how do audiences care about the people you follow over the course of a series?
Right.
When it comes to episode 5, it was so late in the game that I wanted this to be like a genuine extension. Have Sam grab the shield, and from there, I'm not expecting them like to conclude everything because we have 6 episodes for a reason. But I just wish he did a bit more. I mean, I expected him to do more given an hour long runtime. Like if you're gonna do hour long runtime, you need
I'm
to
thinking
warn that
next
runtime.
episode might be 115, 130.
Yeah, I
It's
certainly
got to
hope
be.
so. I would think so.
Like I would damn near like a whole movie's worth. The
Yeah,
final one.
literally. But as a whole, though, I definitely enjoyed aspects of the episode. Like we discussed, I mean, we really went into detail about sort of our thoughts about the characters and
Right.
sort of their approach to taking with the show. Um, so we'll see. I think the finale has a lot of potential to end off on a great note. Um, I'm just as a whole, I really, 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 really liked Falcon and Winter Soldier. Um, I was so surprised,
Yeah.
honestly.
Like
You know,
I think next episode was gonna put a giant stamp on that and make me say loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it.
yeah.
And it's just gonna be a bunch of. And I think Loki's gonna be even better. And I think Miss
Oh
Marvel's
yeah.
gonna be even better. And like everyone that's coming out is
Hawkeye,
just
She-Hulk, Moon Knight.
Hawkeye's. It's gonna be awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
can't wait for Hawkeye.
And I think
Um,
if anything, it kind of wraps up sort of our thoughts on Falcon, and you know, what it kind of reminds me of as well is it makes us look at the future of Marvel
right.
as a whole, and what their future involves the series that you mentioned or the various films. Uh, but maybe if we were to go off on a bit of a tangent, a bit of a different direction, something maybe the multiverse route. There's a certain film that I know you wanted to discuss for this episode of the podcast.
Absolutely need to bring this bad boy up. So I've been reading some articles out there, and it was announced not too, a couple months, maybe a month ago, and I don't know why we didn't discuss this along with this
WandaVision.
WandaVision,
I'm very
because
surprised.
of
Yeah.
all of our freaking theories. Either way, Deadpool 3 has been announced as confirmed as a rated R film, and being a sequel to Deadpool. Now, this word is key. It is literally Deadpool 3. It is a sequel to 2, along with it being an MC in the MCU, confirmed by Mr. Feige himself. For those who don't remember, post-credit scene of Deadpool 2, Deadpool gets access to a I don't know why they would ever give him that, but access to Cable's time traveling device, right? Why? Why would they give Deadpool? Well, either way, we see Deadpool uh, travel into different timelines of the X-Men Foxverse, for whatever the hell they call it, X-Men verse. Kills kills himself, I guess, in X-Men Origins to get rid of that timeline. Uh, Goes and tries to kill Adolf Hitler, but couldn't kill a baby. Uh, he he.
Oh god, I had to delete that scene from the final cut.
What else?
What is this? What do you do? Oh, saved Vanessa.
He did
Love
save
Avengers.
Vanessa. He did save
Um,
Vanessa, and you know, for all we can tell, he just kept going and messing with timelines, right?
South and stuff for getting Green Lantern. Very important.
Oh yes, he
Yeah,
does kill himself again. He has a tendency to do that in post credit scenes. But
yeah.
uh, with all of those things I mentioned, along with the fact that he is time traveling, and we know time travel does have a direct variant effect on the time branches, according to Loki, which we'll learn more about that. Uh, Deadpool 3 is just gonna go ahead and be so. It's gonna be the dump. It's gonna be Ralph Boner esque. How dumb the X Men are brought into the MCU, isn't it? No,
uh,
no, I don't mean dumb. Like I'm gonna love it because it's Deadpool doing it. It's gonna be Deadpool being like, "Hey guys, walk through here," and like literally just here, X Men are here. Like I feel like it's gonna be something that stupid. You know
oh
what I mean?
sure. I mean,
You know,
TVA is going to be on top of them though, because you're in a
absolutely.
Loki trailer. I mean, they capture variants of specific characters in the
What if
MCU.
Deadpool's in prison
So
at the variant time variant?
I wouldn't be there's so many possibilities with it being the MCU now because he have access to all these characters. I mean,
Right.
they can bring in. Oh my goodness! I mean, like you have Spider Man is infamous for
I
being
could
with
see the last
Deadpool. You
episode of
know.
Loki being the prison cells of time variant, and then like a giant gate that's closed, and then a name that just says Wade Wilson on it. I literally could just see that. I could see them just bringing it because it's confirmed. It's literally a sequel to 2.
Yep.
So
While being in the MCU, so
the way they do it, and they show it in Deadpool 3, is him getting arrested by the variant.
I agree. They
I mean,
capture They yeah.
it's that
I
simple,
mean, Vanessa will end up having to be captured because there's a variant of her.
right? She is a
She's
variant,
not the one who. Yeah, so they capture her, and he's like, "What the?" You know, and
and
then
I
he
like her as an
says,
actress too. I think she'd be good in the MCU. I
"Yeah,
think she'd be
she.
good.
I know she started in. I think the only project I've seen from her other than Deadpool was Gotham. She did a great work in Gotham.
Great, great work in Gotham. Gotham was a great show, but
I still had to watch the final season. I watched binge watched the first four
it's
ages
good,
ago,
isn't
and I
it?
never watched the final one. Yeah, it was yeah
It's good.
pretty
It's
good.
good.
Very took
They did
the
a good job.
characters in interesting directions.
Yeah, they did.
Um,
I know which something we can talk about too is Robert Pattinson's. We'll get to that another episode. We're gonna talk some more DC stuff at some point, but Pattinson's Batman,
oh,
which I'm
sorry.
very.
Sorry. I'm sorry. No, sorry. I just have a tendency to cough. I'm sorry. You go ahead.
Robert Pattinson's Batman, I think is going to be great. That's just my initial opinion.
It's the greatest
Um,
comic movie of all time. So,
but he's
sorry.
also going to get a spin-off series, or Gotham's going to. Let's get a spin-off series on
Yep.
HBO Max, which I'm excited for.
GCPD and then the Catwoman series.
Right.
Catwoman series were going to be in development. GCPD is confirmed. And then the sequel to Batman. Matt Reeves is planning a trilogy for the Robert Patterson
Which I think
version of
I would
Batman.
love that absolutely.
I would also
So
love Willem
yeah,
Dafoe as Joker, please.
well, we'll see how
Willem
that
Dafoe
goes.
as
But
Joker. But
so anyway, as far as that, I think Deadpool 3 is going to have a significant part of bringing the X gene in. different ways to explain it, right? I mean, they're gonna have to make it some kind of continuity to us, at least as fans. Um, they can simply say like the X-Men universe is just was just the universe that never had the Marvel characters come to be. Steve never became a super soldier. You know, Red Skull was never a thing. The Tesseract was never a thing. You know, the Infinity Stones were never a thing. They'll figure out a way. They'll absolutely figure out a way to bring it in, make the X gene prevalent. One thing that I saw was like something funny on Twitter that somebody suggested is what if Deadpool just goes back and kills Apocalypse? Apocalypse is the first mutant and it was the first one to bring in the X gene.
Well, he wouldn't-
he just goes up and kills him when he's trying to be created and just kills Apocalypse. That's why the X gene never existed in MCU. Like it'd
Oh
be something
God.
that stupid. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's gonna be
Yeah.
something, and I'm smiling because stupid. I'm gonna love it.
I mean,
I
they're
don't I
being
don't care if it's
yeah.
literally they show Deadpool saved the wrong cat, and that cat was the reason why Tony Stark wanted to suddenly be Iron Man. Like I seriously don't give a fuck how they do it. I just know it's gonna be funny as shit, and that's what Deadpool's meant to be.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I know.
I'm definitely excited for it. You know, it's gonna be exciting to see where they go with it. We'll start seeing some leaks come out about what the plan might be, and I think Loki. If we get any Wade Wilson in Loki at some point, I don't care if it's for 3 seconds,
Oh God. This confirm our suspicions.
I will shit myself. So we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah.
uh, last thing we want to discuss. So something that Matt and I discussed before the episode. I think every week we're going to bring in something a little different. Every week we are going to do something called the Marvel Mashup. We are going to pick two characters out of the MCU. They have to have shown themselves or been in an MCU project to this date. We are going to mash them up against each other, or in this case, match them up against each other. Every week we'll pick X character versus X character and who we think would win in that fight. Week one is here now. So every week, again, the end of the episode, we will absolutely do this, and we're going to start off with this matchup. First matchup we discussed. Since we are in the middle of watching Falcon and Winter Soldier, we decided we would go ahead and go with my old Captain America versus Bucky Barnes. And for those who don't know, Bucky whooped that ass in Winter Soldier, Captain America Winter Soldier. He whooped that ass.
He did.
Okay. Who do you think will win this fight?
Are we? Yeah, I'm actually going to say Captain America.
I don't understand how you can say that. So we're giving let's one thing I'll say, and this is for everybody who gets to see this. We're gonna look at them in their primes. So the best of Bucky / Winter Soldier, the best of Steve Rogers / Captain America.
Oh, we're looking at him in the.
In their prime, I think Bucky Barnes absolutely, bro. Yes, Steve has a shield, but that's immediately eliminated by the fact that Bucky's a fucking psycho that can cast a shield midair. Okay, Bucky has a vibranium arm. All right, so it's V versus V at this point. All right, that don't make a difference.
If let me counter that then. If Captain America is in his prime, let's say he goes through with extensive research, uncovers the Winter Soldier program as he did in the sequel, right? What if he manages to switch off that programming, defeating him? He managed to do that. Captain America still won that fight, even though he may have had sustained the most injuries. He won.
He did it
He
the bitch way
succeeded.
though.
I mean,
so let's say prime, but without the manipulation of the book, the words.
oh, I mean,
I think Bucky just beats him every time.
That's unfair.
I mean,
yeah, I would say
so like
Bucky.
prime. I mean, what's Captain America's
No.
prime, right? Captain America's prime is being able to go toe to toe with Thanos, and also having Thor's hammer. You didn't even think about that.
Oh,
His
never
prime, his best.
Oh, I keep forgetting those. That's crazy to think about. 2 years ago, this month,
So
Endgame came
Cap
out
with Thor's
Captain America
hammer
summoning.
/ his
Wonder
vibe
Woman.
shield,
Whoa,
or Bucky in his prime.
what the Cap? That's
I think
that's obvious.
Bucky still whooped his ass.
with Thor's hammer.
Yes.
That makes zero. You understand how metal? You understand electricity?
Yes.
He would literally fry his arm. His arm would literally like
I think
start.
Bucky,
You
like
know,
at his prime,
you understand that
would
all
find a
Cap
way.
needs to do is just like trip him, drop the hammer, and then he just doesn't. He's like, oh,
I have to play devil's advocate. Obviously, with the hammer, it's almost over. But without the hammer, Bucky definitely has a chance. I think he could beat him.
sure.
Um,
I think they're toe to toe. They both have the super
yeah,
soldier
I
serum
mean,
and
so
incentive
Bucky was
training.
also trained to be a fighter. Like Cap learned to fight. I feel like throughout the MCU, but he wasn't a trained fighter. Like
That's fair enough. I
Soldier
think.
was trained to fight. Like they taught him how to fight.
Well, I think Cap knows how to play on the defensive as well. So he
I
definitely looks
agree with
for
that.
like weaknesses
Right.
on the off for his opposition. As opposed, I mean, there are instances where he like he's definitely superior. I mean, we see in Winter Soldier where he's literally beating you know regular mercenaries. Instantly he definitely sense of overconfidence to him.
Right.
And like so yeah, I mean I personally think Captain America has a high chance of winning the fight, if not will win the fight. I mean, you mentioned his prime, so he had to take out the hammer because literally that's all he has to do. It's shoot, and he does the hammer instantly.
Right.
That'd be unfair, right? I
Or
think a
is
meaningful
Bucky's
fight.
prime doesn't allow him to pick up the hammer too?
I don't think. No, I don't think Bucky will ever pick up
I
the hammer,
don't
unfortunately.
think he's
But
worthy after all that, but maybe
unfortunately,
after he makes his amends.
oh, well, the one
You do
there
have
is
to
in the
remember,
timeline.
Steve was only able to pick up that hammer because he was able to make amends with Tony.
Oh, that's true.
The reason why he was not able to pick up the hammer is because he never told the truth about Tony's parents.
That was a theory rolling around. I honestly, I
I mean, what
probably
else would
agree.
it? What else would it be?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? He would
yeah.
have picked up the hammer during Ultron. If if That's the only thing I can think of that what made him more
Yeah.
worthy after that.
Yeah. I do love those reactions, though, of course, in Endgame where he says, I knew it. I mean, we all knew it at that point. As soon as the hammer came out, we were like, I
It's
remember the
happening.
reaction in the theaters, too. I mean, we heard, you remember,
Oh,
too, like,
don't say the
wow,
T
screaming.
word. Don't say the T word. I miss the T word, man. I miss
Black Widow,
theaters.
listen, Black Widow, I think for
The
everyone at
day after my
home,
birthday. Hey.
if the birthday, July 8th, I think for everyone who is watching, definitely take the time to get vaccinated, continue to wear your mask, because there will come a point where we can be in movie theaters and sort of
Yeah.
partake in other kinds of activities. Social distancing, of course, we
Yeah.
obviously need to still take our precautions, but if given the opportunity and you feel comfortable enough, you feel fully vaccinated, um, and you act responsibly, definitely, once these
Get
theaters
ready
open
to get
up,
up in there,
cross our
man.
fingers, I'm getting in there as soon as I can. I want to buy a ticket
Oh,
to
that's
any movie and just experience that for the first time with a crowd, even if it's not as large as, say, the Endgame one
yeah.
that
Right.
we had
Right.
2 years
We
ago.
all
I
we all
mean,
need that, man. That's just some of the best experience you could ever have.
precisely.
It's you gotta love it for sure. But hey, of course, sadly this has to come to an end. But thank you guys for coming as always. We genuinely appreciate all you guys do. Matt, if you want to tell them real quick where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, of course. It's going to be Matt underscore T 29 over on Instagram. As I said, like in the last episode, consider subscribing to our OTS guys page over on YouTube. I know John can, of course, cover the various social media platforms we have. For the OTS page, if we're looking to grow uh, this channel, this brand as much as possible. Me and John love coming on here, every week. We record every Friday. These episodes usually, uploaded depending on sort of our schedules, usually on Saturday or Sunday. But definitely, uh, give the video a like, give it a view, watch it for how long you possibly can, leave a comment, share anything because we enjoy doing this. We want this to be just as slow as possible. But listen, I mean, the fact that even one of you are watching every week means the world to us because numbers will never matter to us. The fact that we can appeal to just even a single person will always make the difference, and I bounce this around. always make the difference. And we, truly appreciate the support you've been giving us for over, they were closing in on 2 months since we started this. It feels like it's been a while. I mean, we're doing this every week since, I mean, it'd be 2 months. So yeah, back in February, if you can
Yeah.
believe it, when we
Yeah. And
started.
we're gonna keep doing it every week for as much as we can. Look, Matt said most of what I really had to say in the first place, but you guys, of course, can find me at John_OTS. Please go over to OTSguys.com or yeah, OTS.guys.com for the website. Articles will be posted. Our whole team's list of podcasts is on there to tell you where you can find them, what content we have, all the podcasts coming out. Of course, next week is a week from today, the 23rd, is the next episode of the live episode of Fans is uh, a podcast slash live show that they do. That puts two artists up against each other, right? Next week, I think, is going to be uh, um, Cardi B against Meg The Stallion. Two extremely popular artists. It's going to be a ladies' night. All ladies will be paneling. Um, Two ladies are representing the two artists. Very excited for it. Darren, Derek, Jeremy, Dwayne put together such a great show for everyone to get 30 plus viewers. Hop on in there. Hop on in there. Go to youtube.com/OTS guys. It'll give you the notification when they go live on Friday night next week, the 23rd. Go check it out. And when you do like and subscribe, you'll get all of our content. Every podcast that's recorded will be right on there. But come on in and watch our stuff when you get a chance. We can be heroes, baby. We love it. We love y'all. Peace.
Peace, guys.